Hello and welcome. My name's Frank and this week we are going to do a little comparative tasting of Old World versus New World. What do I mean by that? Old World is Europe, so all of your historic classic areas. The New World is everywhere else. So the Americas, South Africa, Australia and New Zealand. Even though these countries have been producing wines for centuries, we've only really started to import them into the UK since the 60s and 70s, so we refer to them as the New World. If you want to join in at home, this is going to be a comparative tasting, so raid your wine racks for 2 bottles. If it's just yourself, hopefully you've got some little handy half bottles. If it's the whole household, then gather everyone together to do some blind tasting. You want to find 2 wines from the same grape variety, but from different sides of the planet, so hopefully 1 Old World and 1 New World. One of the most important factors to consider when comparing the two is climate. You'll usually find that the New World areas are much hotter and warmer versus the Old World, and this will lead to much richer, riper and more intense fruit characteristics within the wine. But actually some of the better areas within the New World are planted either at higher altitude or with proximity to the ocean to help give the wine some freshness and acidity by keeping the temperature down in the vineyard. As the grapes see more sun, the acidity starts to fade away. So you often find that the New World wines feel very rich, ripe and broad across the palate, but might sometimes be lacking in some acidity. You also find that with the more sugars developed in the grapes at the point of fermentation, that alcohol can creep up, which is why you can often find some of those Aussie Shirazes at 15% plus. To summarise, those New World wines will have more body, more alcohol, riper fruit aromas, but less acidity. Whereas the Old World will have lighter body, less alcohol, softer fruit and higher acidity. From those descriptions you probably already know what it is that you like, but hopefully doing this as a comparative tasting things side by side, you may discover something new that you really like. The easiest way to see how climate influences the style is to taste 2 wines from the same grape variety but from other sides of the planet. Grape varieties like Chardonnay and Cabernet Sauvignon develop lots of different characteristics depending on where they're grown. This Chablis from the northern part of Burgundy is a really good example of cool climate Chardonnay. It's crisp, clean, unoaked and refreshing. On the palate you'll expect lots of crisp green apple characteristics, like biting into a Granny Smith, that beautiful sharpness coming through. Whereas here we've also got a New World Chardonnay from the Mornington Peninsula in Australia. Much warmer, hotter climate here. So therefore the characteristics you'd expect are more stone and tropical. Think peach, apricot, banana and pineapple. This isn't possible with all grape varieties. There's many indigenous varietals around the world that are only grown in one particular area. Like many of the grape varieties from Italy, that if you take them out of their ideal growing conditions, they won't get to that full potential. There are also grape varieties that you may not realise are the same. As they've travelled around the world, they've decided to change their name for extra confusion. Grape varieties like Primitivo and Zinfandel, like Pinot Grigio and Pinot Gris, and like Syrah from France and Shiraz from Australia. But actually this might help you give a better expectation of what it is that you're about to purchase. Knowing that a Syrah will give you a slightly more savoury experience with leather, game, cooked meat, black pepper characteristics. Whereas your Shiraz will give you more of a fruit explosion with jammy dark fruits, licorice and sweet spice aromas. We have a comparison between a beautiful Creuse Hermitage from the Northern Rhone and a big bold Aussie Shiraz from Heathcote. We're looking at a lighter, fresher style from the Northern Rhone with lots of that savoury element as well. The Australian style, much richer, riper, sweeter fruit, a lot jammier and more concentrated on the palate. They both taste delicious, but it's always down to a personal preference as to whether you prefer the lighter and more elegant style versus those bigger, riper characteristics. The other important factor is the laws within wine. Each European country has strict rules in place that govern a high level of quality. These PDOs, or Protected Designations of Origin, dictate which grape varieties are allowed to be permitted within that area, the overall geographical region, winemaking techniques, aging requirements, maximum yields, and overall selling quotas. Meaning that if you pick up a bottle of Chablis, you'll know that it is 100% Chardonnay. All of the grapes were picked within the area of Chablis. Using low yields, it will be unoaked and of a very high level of quality, which you should expect from a certain price point as well. Within the New World, they're allowed to be a little bit more experimental by blending grape varieties together that you may not have seen together before, as well as experimenting with different styles of oak, mixing those together to create a new overall experience and something a little bit different. I think one of the reasons why New World wines appeal to people is that they're a lot more user-friendly. Not only do they state the grape variety on the label, telling you what it is, they usually give you a full tasting note on the back as well. Whereas if you picked up a bottle of Bordeaux, Burgundy, Rioja, Chianti, you're just expected to know what the grape variety is. Once you can identify what the grape variety is, you're then able to travel with that grape around the world discovering new wines. There are some labelling terms that you need to be wary of. Phrases like Reserva and Gran Reserva mean nothing in the New World. In Spain, where they're more historically known, it's written into wine law as a minimum requirement for oak aging and bottle aging before release. However, in South America, Chile and Argentina, it means nothing. One person's Reserva is longer or shorter than their neighbours, so do be wary when seeing that one. The other term that you may come across often is old vine. Now, the older the vine, the more concentrated the fruit, but it produces less bunches per vine. So it ends up becoming a little bit of a battle between profitability and productivity. But there's no legal requirement as to how old an old vine is. One person, it could be 10 years. For another producer, it could be 100. So again, just be wary. It is often also reflected in the price as well. With that in mind, however, feel free to explore the world of wine. I always suggest that if there is a particular grape variety that you like, try and discover that from around the world. You may be pleasantly surprised with what you find. If you think you have discovered everything that there is from that one grape variety, then speak to someone like myself, events@averys.com, and we'll point you in the right direction of what to taste next. Hope you're enjoying the videos. Stay safe and we'll see you on the next one. Take care and goodbye.